This is another of the Spring Valley stories, sort of not at the beginning. And you need to know that Betsy and Henry Thompson live in town, and Henry writes books, not very good ones. And he fixed up, but he's very successful. But he fixed up the chicken coop behind the house for his studio. And Dennis and Murray have moved into town. Dennis is a sculptor and Murray is a painter. Dennis said that when he found Spring Valley with its gingerbreaded houses, he thought he'd found the town that he'd always pretended he lived in. There was Henry, the father, and Betsy, the mother, and the children, the family that had been promised him by his first grade reader. Henry was allergic to cats, so there wasn't a Muffy cat. And there were 3 children instead of the perfect 2. And his new father was bearded, not clean-shaven, and didn't drive home from work to be welcomed by an aproned wife and clean children. But the Thompsons came close to the theme of his childhood. So close that he believed for some blissful months that all the stories he'd heard about Lana Turner and Horatio Alger and John D. Rockefeller were true. So Thanksgiving was wonderful, better than Norman Rockwell, and Christmas was even better. And then, one lovely late May day, Dennis thought they should all take a picnic to the seashore. He left his studio early, bought wine and cheese and bread, and peanut butter and jam and apples for the children, and walked around his family's house to his father's studio, where his wife was lying on the couch underneath his father. What bothered Dennis just at first was that Henry had his socks on. Nothing else, just navy blue socks that were stretched out beneath Murray's tightly wrapped legs. He laughed. He couldn't help it. He stood in the doorway and laughed until he cried. Murray stuck her head out from underneath Henry's beard and yelled, "You are the most stupid man on earth. Don't you recognize passion when you see it? How can you be an artist without passion? You're boring and I hate you." Dennis leaned against the door jamb. His laughter stopped, but his tears continued. "You never said. You wouldn't have understood if I had." Henry disengaged himself from Murray's legs and reached for the nearest piece of clothing, which was unfortunately Murray's white tank top and of little value to him. "But," Dennis cried, "didn't I tell you after your last show that you had lost your passion, didn't I? But did you pay any attention to me? Oh no, not the great Dennis Reiser. Why would he listen to his dear little Murray?" She had raised herself on one elbow to deliver her thoughts on his work, and Dennis's artistic eye admired the composition. The white, nearly translucent body against the dusty red velvet of the couch, the long dark hair streaming over the breasts. Before his artistic ego registered what had been said. "And who was it that made you a critic?" he yelled. "Who taught you everything you know?" "Made me? Taught me?" Murray sprang upright. "You pompous bastard! I was the most talented student you ever had." The decibel level of the interchange had risen considerably by the time Henry had pulled on enough clothes to make an exit. He said, "I'll just leave you 2 to work things out, shall I?" As he sidled awkwardly past Dennis, who was still standing in the doorway. Dennis looked at Murray without being able to find the girl he loved. He said, "Put your clothes on. I'll see you back at the house." Murray muttered, "Don't tell me what to do. You don't own me." But she did begin to search for the tank top that Henry had discarded.